Well, hello, Samad. How are you?
Great, and you?
I'm very good. So I just want to have a quick conversation with you and I'll go straight into it. So for those who don't know you, can you just give a little bit of an introduction about yourself?
Interesting. Just a crazy entrepreneur from Newark, New Jersey, USA. I've been in the film and TV space for 28 years, 29, from Hollywood to Africa to the world. I've been blessed to work across Africa for 18 years now, 22 different countries. I call myself a Pan-Africanist. And I try to marry all of the opportunities that Africa has to offer with all the opportunities that the U.S. has to offer.
Lovely. And initially when I wanted to have a conversation with you, my focus was absolutely going to be on film and movies and music directing. But after having a conversation with you and also a little bit of research, I quickly realized that there's tons of information about you and the kind of work you've done. So I want you to briefly just touch on what you've done and why you got into the film space. But I mostly want to focus in the conversation around your entrepreneurship, philanthropy, and so forth. So just as a brief for anyone who's maybe seeing this for the first time, if you can touch on that a little bit and then we can...
Well, I've always been an entrepreneur first and foremost. I never actually had a regular job. It started with my father trying to cut my hair and my brother's hair when we were very young, and he did a very bad job. Great man, though. But that inspired my brother to learn how to cut his own hair, because he said my father will never butcher his hair again. Till this day, he still cuts his own hair. And he had a bit of OCD, so once he's finished cutting his hair and he takes a shower, he didn't want to cut my hair. So he would always say, cut it yourself, the way I'm cutting my hair myself. And in that process, I learned to cut my own hair when I had hair. I still have hair, by the way.
Yeah.
But and then I subsequently started cutting all my friends' hair as I grew up, all the way through high school, you name it. Anyway, I found my way into a barbershop many years later, renting a chair, having my own clientele. And part of that clientele was an older gentleman who was in construction. And everybody loves their barber, right? Everybody tells you, if you're a barber, you're like a therapist as well. But that older gentleman mentored me into real estate. And in that process, he sold me my first shell property. Shell meaning abandoned property. No one lived in it for the last, 7 years. It was completely abandoned. But it was a 3-family house, meaning front door, back door, first floor, front door, back door, second floor, front door, back door, third floor. 3 families can live in this one dwelling. And it was completely abandoned, and he sold it to me for $2,500. And then I proceeded to clear the house up, because whoever lived there last left everything in a mess. I cleared it out. I gutted it down to the beams, and I ultimately sold it to someone else for $30,000.
Wow. Okay.
I may have spent maybe $1,500 to
fix it out.
To do what I did. I didn't fix it up completely. I just cleared it out. But that opened my eyes to, wait a minute, what's going on here? This is a real thing. And I did it again. He showed me a few others like that. But I also opened up a restaurant through that, another barbershop through that. And in the process of, I want to say year 2, in the restaurant side of things, the general manager that I had running my restaurant in New Jersey, because I had one in New Jersey and one in Harlem, New York. And the one in New Jersey, the general manager told me he was resigning because he was going to film school. Now, fast forward 18 months later, I'm no longer happy, because as an entrepreneur, I was looking for my purpose. I was always trying to figure out, well, what's next? You know, I had the barbershop going well, I had the real estate, I got into that. Then I got into the restaurant business. And I opened up one successfully. Then I opened up another one in Harlem. And I kept saying to myself, if I can do a third, then I could have a franchise model. But I wasn't happy, because I felt like I was a slave to the restaurant business. And it took me away from the barbershop business. So I just wasn't happy doing what I loved. And so 18 months later, I ran into that same general manager on my way to my New York restaurant. And he said to me, film school was the best experience he ever had. You should try it. And at that point, I wasn't happy, as I mentioned to you. I was still trying to find what is my purpose in life. What do I enjoy doing that I would do for free? And I no longer felt that in this restaurant business, right? At least with the barbershop business, you're dealing with people that you love, and every day is a new day, new experiences, new conversations. But in the restaurant business, it wasn't that way. So he told me to go try it. And back then, there was no cell phones. You had to literally go home, make a phone call to the schools, Film, Video, and Arts in New York City. And they told me to come on in, take a tour. So I went the next day, took a tour. I was the only black kid in the school. My guy who's running my restaurant prior, he was the only one at that time. He left, so now it was just me.
The new kid.
I'm the new black guy. And I went into that school, and I fell in love. I'm from Newark, New Jersey. No one ever shot a film. No one knows anything about filmmaking. So as an entrepreneur, I figured, okay, let me learn every aspect of the rules of engagement. Let me learn script writing. Let me learn directing. Let me learn editing. Let me learn cinematography. Doesn't mean I'm going to do all of those things, but if I understand all of those things, then I can better communicate. Right? And as an entrepreneur, I think my greatest gift is I'm a natural producer. I can take a vision and I can execute it. I can find the money, the strategy, you name it, and everything in between to get to a finished product. Whether that be opening a barbershop, rehabbing a home, opening a restaurant, it's still the same skill set. So once I learned the rules of engagement in film and TV,
you could transfer.
And then I didn't realize how creative I was. I just never was able to tap into it or unlock it. And so through that process, in the end, they give you as part of your thesis film, they give you a bunch of equipment, because part of that process is to develop your own project. And then they give you equipment for a week to go and shoot that project, right? Now, out of my cohort of 8, I was the only one who completed the project.
Oh, okay.
I took that equipment that they gave me, I took it back to my hometown, and I proceeded to produce and direct my first project.
Why do you think that is? Why were you the only one? Is it that you were inspired?
I don't know. I mean, for many reasons. Probably financial reasons. Probably for just exposure reasons. This was in Manhattan.
Okay.
It wasn't cheap, right? But again, exposure. I didn't know what I didn't know prior to the general manager quitting. I wouldn't know anything about film school. No one talks about that. Now we're in an age where it's prevalent. Everyone knows about it. There's social media. This is pre all of that. This is when they were
long ago was
This is when they had VHS tapes.
Okay.
This is when we were shooting films with film cameras that had actual film.
Okay.
This is before the digital era.
Okay.
This was before DVDs came out. I know I'm showing my age here, but this is a long time ago. But that was a very eye-opening experience, because I was able to bring that equipment back to my city, and I had the whole city behind me. Because no one ever saw a film be made. So I had everybody participating and donating cars, people's aunts cooking lunch for the crew, you name it. But I completed something, because I always complete what I start. And then that little film project, it was only supposed to be a short, but it got to be about 40 minutes or so.
Do you remember what the name was?
I'm too ashamed of it. I won't say it
what
on
was
this
it
platform.
about?
No.
Okay.
But what I would tell you is, I realized I needed music. I needed music to go with the film. So that got me into talking to artists to come up with some music and theme music for the project. And next thing you know, I had a little soundtrack. I made some behind the scenes content and some music videos to go with the soundtrack. By the time it was all said and done, I had an hour worth of content. And then I took that and I started to sell it to the mom and pop shops. Mom and pop shops are the storefronts that used to sell cassette tapes, VHS tapes, bootleg, whatever,
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
And then there were street vendors also who used to sell pirated content or music.
Yeah.
But I had it original. It was mine. So I would mass produce it and sell it to those guys wholesale. And then they wouldn't bootleg me because I'm giving them an original at a very reduced price, and they could still make their markup, so they wouldn't bootleg me. And I built that model. I made some money doing that. And then I said, well, let's do it again. We did another project and then another project. By this point, DVDs are introduced.
Okay.
You see? And then ultimately I did another project in 2001, which actually got us into the Hollywood space.
Okay.
That was like the first crossover, if you will. But at that point, by that time, we had mom and pop distribution from New York to California. I don't know if you understand the landscape of the U.S., but from the East Coast to West Coast. East Coast to West Coast, meaning you had your own distribution pipeline to sell it to mom and pop shops across from east to west. Your original piece. So if it's $5 and they're selling it for 10 or $15, I'm selling to them wholesale, original. They don't have to bootleg me.
Yeah.
So we made a lot of money.
Makes sense. Yeah.
We made a lot of money doing that, and then it just went from there.
Okay. I want to take it a step back because it sounds like you've been in business for your entire life.
A crazy
So
entrepreneur.
what age did you start? Because I mean, once you start,
Where I come from, there was snow. We would have snow.
Yeah.
Right? It would snow in New York City, New Jersey area. And then we would go and hustle and go knock on every door and ask to shovel your snow. So you don't have to give us $10. We'll shovel your front yard, your steps, your driveway, so your car can get in and out, and your front sidewalk.
Yeah.
So at a young age, that's what we would do. Whether it be the fall with all the leaves, we'll rake all your leaves and clean your yard.
Yeah.
My brother ran a newspaper route, was delivering the newspaper. So the way we came up was during a time where there was ways to hustle legally.
Yeah.
And you get used to making money from your hard work and creating your own hours. And so it was just in me for a long time to keep doing that. So I would say from a young age, I was being proactive in my entrepreneurial journey.
Okay. So you touched a little bit about your brother. Can you tell us a little bit about your family background? Any other siblings?
Yes, I have a sister who's a top cardiothoracic surgeon in the United States. She speaks all over the world. She's doing great. And my brother, I have, as I mentioned to you, he's a tax accountant. And I have two smaller sisters. Wow, they're in 20, 21, and 25.
Not very small anymore.
Too small, but yeah. And my mother was an energy executive for many years, 35 years at an electric and gas company. So she was in charge of all their philanthropy work, meaning she ran the foundation, the budgets. So any NGO or nonprofit that needed funds on behalf of the company, the energy company, she was the one designating where funds which nonprofits or NGOs they would support. Okay. And my father's a lawyer, speaks French fluently. I grew up in his law firm. So I don't have a story about struggle. Yeah. I came from a really good family. We just lived in a bad neighborhood. So although you have a good family, but you still have to go outside and interact with those who may not have a good family. But no, I really respect my parents. My parents definitely molded me.
Lovely. And mentioning that your neighborhood was, different. How did you navigate from maybe getting involved in things that you shouldn't be involved in?
Well, it's traumatic. I mean, you're surrounded by. This is the average conversation when you wake up or you go outside. You heard what happened? You heard what happened to so and so.
Yeah.
Two things happened to so-and-so. Either so-and-so got killed or so-and-so got swept up in a federal agent raid with 30 other people and is never coming home. Or at least not for another 20 years.
Yeah.
Those are the two things. Either somebody's gone for a long time in prison or they got unalived, if you will.
Would you say it's still the same now, or
It's even worse.
Really?
It's worse.
Oh wow.
So back then, there was still integrity within the neighborhoods. There was still, we have the older guys, right, who may have, the young people would say, okay, no, that's so-and-so. Respectfully, I'm not going to cross that line.
Yeah.
Or two people from two different neighborhoods, someone in their camp may know each other or went to school. So problems could get resolved a bit easier because someone knows someone. In this day and age, no one cares. No one has respect anymore. No one has integrity anymore. So no one cares. The young people think it's a badge of honor to unalive someone who's has some kind of status or respect. So respect is gone. And then you add the drugs. Back then, young people didn't use drugs. Maybe occasionally somebody might smoke some weed or something, or marijuana.
Yeah.
But no one was using hard drugs.
Yeah.
And now we're in a time where the young people use drugs. So it's just a different time.
Yeah.
It's a completely different time.
Wow.
It's completely different.
Okay, and you touched a little bit on mentorship.
Important, very important.
Yeah, can you elaborate on that? Why?
Mentorship is important. I mean, we don't know. Exposure is key.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know. There's so many people. I would always say, you take any neighborhood, and I'm just talking about the problems in certain neighborhoods, right? And you can find this anywhere in the world. Humans are humans. If you put humans in a certain condition or certain set of conditions, you'll find the same cast of characters. Doesn't matter if the language changes, the accents change, the ethnicities change. You'll find the same characters if you put humans in a certain environment. That being said, if you give anybody who chooses crime a pathway to dignity, they will choose that pathway to dignity.
Yeah.
If you give them the skills to understand how to wire a house or wire a building as an electrician or a plumber, which doesn't sound too fancy, but electricians and plumbers make more money than somebody on Wall Street or somebody in, they're making deep six figures. Yeah. You see? Yeah. But it doesn't sound too attractive, right? No. It's not IG worthy.
Yeah. Instagram.
But if you give somebody a pathway, meaning give them a tangible skill set, and then give them a pathway to go work, they will choose that work over the things that they risk their life to do. It's just exposure. It's exposure and perception. Yeah. So the minute one does it and is making some money, they will then brag not in a hurtful way, but in a way that would inspire someone else to say, well, how can I get the job too? How can I learn? I saw it all the time when, God rest his soul, there was a mayor from the city that I grew up in. He passed away not too long ago. But he used to give the guys who the neighborhoods used to be scared of, who might have done 20 years or 15 years, and then they come home from prison, he would give them a job in the city, maybe in the sanitation department, maybe in the different departments. Yeah. And those guys, because they got benefits, they got a good paying job, they had a pathway to dignity. Yeah. And you can go back to those neighborhoods now, they're probably like 30 years on the job, supervisors or whatever the case may be. They never went back to crime. Because
someone gave them a chance, yeah.
Yeah, it's not just a chance, but also dignity. Yeah. Because it's maybe frowned upon to say I'm going to get a job working at a fast food restaurant, because it's not tangible. You don't really need skills for that, right? But if you can train people on how to operate certain machinery, how to drive commercial tractor trailers, we call that in America CDL licenses, right? To drive certain kind of trucks. That's a skill that you have to get qualified for and trained for, and now you're working in a particular sector that requires your skills and your license.
Yeah.
And they make money. And there's dignity in that. You understand? So
I get that, yeah.
mentorship is part of what mentorship does is help to explain to someone who doesn't know or doesn't have the exposure that you may have on different pathways, different ways to look at things, just somebody to bounce ideas off of and to take in new information and be pointed in the right direction. Because I assure you, if most people had that opportunity, they would choose something different.
Okay. I will touch a little bit later on job creation, because I know that's also one of the things you love doing. But maybe let's go into some of the businesses that you're currently busy with, or
Well, I'll give you the condensed version. I won't go too far into it. But I'm a facilitator. I've been part of, I would say 18 years ago, I went to Africa for the first time. And I went to 6 countries over a 45-day period, hosted by the heads of state of each country, because my uncle was in the U.S. government. He retired. He was very influential in helping the United States establish trade relationships with developing nations in Africa as they were gaining their independence. So every head of state came through his office at one point in time. And he personally went to Africa, 390 times. And so my first time going to Africa was with that uncle and my father and another business partner of ours. And it changed my life. It changed my life because, growing up in America, and I'm sure it's the same way in a lot of other Western places, countries, they only showed us the worst parts of Africa. Yeah. They showed us Tarzan. They showed us HIV, some kind of warlord or dictator, cannibalism, starving children, Tarzan. Did I say Tarzan?
Yeah, you did.
Apartheid. They just showed us all the things that would make you say, why would I ever go there? Yep. And I was guilty of that. My father would always say, son, we should go I just came back from Congo. We should put our money together and provide some buses. I said, well, why would we do that?
Yeah.
He says, because if you would think it's a parade every day. It's not a parade. It's people walking because there's no buses. I said, okay, well, who's going to fix the bus when the bus breaks down? Who's going to make sure whatever we invest in, we can get our, who's on the ground? I thought it was ridiculous, actually. And I told him so. I apologized much later to him, but I thought it was crazy because I was ignorant to the whole concept of Africa. And that's sad. As a descendant of slaves, we're cut off. We were just, all we know is we can only trace our roots back now. Thank God for DNA and ancestry and stuff. I did my DNA, by the way.
And what did it say?
Oh, that's all. I got to finish this point first. Okay. But we can only historically, only go back to some place in the South. Okay. So they dropped us off, and they said they dropped the kids off in Haiti. They dropped some of the rebellious ones off in Jamaica. They dropped a lot of women off in Brazil. They dropped a lot of what we call African Americans in different parts of the South, like Louisiana, Georgia, South Carolina, Virginia. But Charleston, South Carolina is where they will bring us all and auction us off. So they would bid and then they would take you and send you to Louisiana. They'll send me to Norfolk, Virginia, right? Yeah. And there's slaves from everywhere, right? All over West Africa, breeding together. Slave masters having his way with women as well. And you start to get this mixture, right? Yeah. But as far as we can go as African Americans is somewhere in the South. We don't know. At the shoreline, we don't know where we came from. We just know somewhere in Africa, but no true connection, right? So we're cut off. So and then reinforce that with Tarzan, HIV, you name it. You never want to go back there.
Yeah.
You think America is just the one place you want to be. So I was ignorant to that. So when I went to Africa the first time and I saw the complete opposite of the things that I saw Black people doing well. I saw Black people running governments. Yes, with their challenges, but systematically, there's a reason there's all those challenges, right?
Yeah.
We can always blame corruption, but if by the time you figure out somebody's being corrupt, you're really missing the real corrupt in the background. If somebody takes $1 million that you can see, somebody took $1 billion somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I went to Ghana, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Benin, Senegal, and Liberia. Did I say that?
No, you didn't mention.
And Liberia. And it just changed my life. I never stopped going since. I fell in love spiritually, energetically. You know, as I mentioned to you earlier, with the restaurant stuff, I was always just trying to find, I know I'm destined to do great things and help so many people. Everything I do helps so many people.
Yeah.
And I think that's the greatest, even at my own detriment, a lot of times has been. It's like, why do I do this? But when I can look back and I can see people working from my ideas or my deals making abilities, and I see hundreds of people working and feeding their families, there's blessings in that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've built schools in Cote d'Ivoire. We've done so much stuff.
Yeah.
So many. Africa opened up to me. I opened up to Africa, and I brought, again, different NGOs into Africa, one place or another, different artists into one place or another. We built projects in one place or another, lots of investments in companies and people in one place or another.
Yeah.
And I want to say 2 years, when I first went, it had nothing to do with film and TV, by the way, at all. So it was only 2 years into that new journey, that new chapter, because life is a chapter. It's a book,
Yeah.
you know, and it's filled with chapters. So for me, that was the start of a new chapter for me. Okay, it's my best chapter, actually.
Okay.
And the start of that new chapter, 2 years into that, I then was at a hotel waiting to get picked up with my uncle, the one I mentioned to you, God rest his soul. His name was Belozi Harvey.
Okay.
Sheikh Belozi Harvey. I was looking at, there was something playing in the lobby showing music videos and stuff. And I thought I said it looked like they were from the 80s, basically, in a nice way. It looks like it's from the 80s. Yeah. Why are they shooting why does the content look like that now? And he said, well, do something about it. You're here enough, you're back and forth. That's also your background. Don't complain about it. Be value added, he said. And he also said, I'm sure your brothers and sisters in Africa would love to collaborate with you and whatever you learn from them, and you can learn. They can learn from you. You can learn from them. He said, be value added. And that's when the light bulb went off, and I was like, you're right. I am here. Like, if I'm here, I could be doing this also. And then I started to introduce that part of my life into Ghana and Nigeria. And we played a huge part in elevating the quality of productions in those countries. And then it just went from there. So we've shot all over Africa. Yeah. Well, a good part of it.
With the recent lovely one that I'm sure everyone mentions every time they see you.
What's that?
Kings of Joburg.
Kings of Joburg is an embodiment of what my uncle said. Collaborate with your brothers and sisters in Africa. Be value added. Learn from them. They learn from you. And do some great stuff.
Yeah.
So when we look at what we did with Kings of Joburg on Netflix, shameless plug, available now. Season 3 just dropped maybe 2 months ago.
Yeah.
That is exactly it. That is it. You're talking about hundreds of people working to create that stuff, create a project. You're talking people taking their careers to the next level behind the scenes, in front of the camera. Stars that are stars in South Africa now become international stars.
Yeah.
And then marrying the best of South Africa with some of the best of Nigeria's talent, with some of the best of United States talent. You see?
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing. You're creating something a lot bigger than just the story. It has a cultural impact in front of the camera and behind the camera. And that to me is the greatest reward, far beyond how much money you can make. I believe in investing in humans. I believe in that. I think it's a beautiful thing. And
lovely. And I mean, I grew up watching, well, we call her Karabo Moroka, you know, Connie Ferguson. How is it working with her?
Such a lovely person, man. Such a lovely spirit. Her and the late, great Shona Ferguson.
Yeah.
I actually knew Connie first. And then I remember saying we got to sit down together, me, her, and Shona, and we went to dinner and we just talked about how I'm doing things and how they're doing things and how we can collaborate, and you know, wouldn't it be great if we can do something great together? And that's what we did. And so unfortunately we lost Shona between season 1 and season 2. But he left such a mark and such a great impact. And that's why we felt as though the show should go on.
Yeah.
Shona show goes on.
Show must go on, yeah.
And then me and Connie have just, you know, been joined by the hip in terms of keeping it moving and putting the things in place that needs to happen to keep the legacy going. And she's just a great person, before you can talk about anybody as a talent or as a business person, in the end, you want to work with good people.
Yeah.
You want to find people that have integrity and just that light up your spirit and vice versa. Because life's too short to be forced to work with people you don't get along with.
Yeah.
And no money in the world, to me, is worth being tied to people who just don't align with your spirit.
100%.
You see? So she does. And she's a great family to have.
Okay. Is there one experience in your life that you say, if you could change it? You've learned from it? Or, yeah.
You know, that's a tricky one because you see, hindsight is 20/20, right? But if you take any one of those experiences out of that spoken the will, you're going in a different direction.
Yeah.
You're not sitting here right now.
True.
So failure breeds confidence. It breeds confidence if you can get back up. So I learned more from my success. I learned more from my failures than I would ever learn from my success.
Yeah.
You see? Because when you fail, sometimes failure is designed to make you pivot over here or pivot over there. And it molds you to become the person that you are currently. We are all ever evolving, right?
Yeah.
But I can look in business and I can say, wow, you know, this deal didn't work out. And you can be upset about it.
Yeah.
And then a year later, a better scenario comes along. And you say, thank God that deal didn't work out. Because if that deal worked out, I was selling myself short. I wouldn't be in this position. I mean, that's just a low-hanging fruit example. And that happens all the time. So you got to see if this door doesn't open, you try the next door. And then maybe it's the third door that opens.
Yeah.
And when you walk down that pathway, after going through that third door, you can't be mad that this door didn't open. Because had it open, you wouldn't experience this pathway.
Agreed.
So I can't answer that question because I can go down a list of things that I wish never happened, and you know, I wish I can turn back the hands of time. But then again, it's like, hey, had I did so, I wouldn't be on the pathway that I'm on now.
Okay. I want to go into your mining business. But before that, I want to know the results of your DNA test. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. You sure?
Yeah, I'm
okay.
sure.
Okay, so out of 100%, I am 78% African.
Okay.
Out of that 78%, the largest is Nigerian, then Congolese, Cameroon, then there's Benin, Togo, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, and then the rest Southern Bantu.
Okay.
Now I don't go into all the
in
little
the-
percentages,
yeah.
but Nigeria being the strongest, and then Cameroon, Congolese. So then we go into 20% Eastern European, European, Scandinavian, Great Britain, Ireland.
Wow.
Remember I told you the slave masters would
Yeah.
mix up things?
Yeah.
And then 1% Pacific Islander, 1% Native American, the true indigenous American.
Wow. Okay. Did you expect those results, or did you think different?
I don't know. You know, the thing that I can tell you, which gives it credibility for me, is when I did it, it tells you who else in their database is related to you without them knowing anything, right? So my second cousin, our grandmothers were sisters, told me he did his DNA. Now, when I got my results back, it said it gives you all these records. It lets you know who else is related to you that you should either reach out to or know. They didn't know this. We don't share the same last name. First person on that list was my cousin.
Wow. Okay.
Right? And then there's others. You know, people who might have been adopted have found their families
Through the process.
through that process because someone else is in that database say, hey, you a perfect match with, you know? So I did that, and I did that while I was long into my Africa journey. And then it made me really understand why I feel so at home when I'm in these parts of Africa.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing. Okay, your mining business. Where does that come from? And also why I think your head office in Dubai? Why Dubai?
Okay, let me see the sanitized version. That first trip, one of my good friends that I met on that first trip was a chief, a king. I'm still good friends with him till this day. That first trip 18 years ago in West Africa, and in Africa in general, but West Africa in particular, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, chiefs own the land. So government is government, land is tribal, depending on, unless it's an area that doesn't belong to a tribe. And in that land that he had was cocoa. They farmed a lot of cocoa where the cacao comes from.
Yeah.
That gets shipped off for chocolate manufacturing. And gold. And one of the things they told me was that, you know, if they can get better machinery, if they can get the machinery they need, things could be more efficient. There'll be less deaths associated with mudslides. When it rains, people are in pits. The mud comes, things happen.
Yeah.
So it was really my chief friend that told me, hey, you know, why don't you get involved here? So what we started to do was ship excavators, dump trucks, wash plants. I used to buy a lot of the heavy equipment from the United States, from Florida, put them on big tankers, ship them across the Atlantic for 45 days, clear them at the port, bring them up to the mines.
Wow.
Cowboy stuff. And that went really well. It was eye-opening, and I learned. They mentored me. I learned every aspect of it. I mean, I was able to see where and how gold is pulled from the ground and how it's processed and how it's sold and how it ends up on Wall Street and how it ends up as jewelry or other things, right? It was very, very fascinating stuff. So that's how I got into it. And then I started to increase our support in terms of a heavy equipment leasing program for small and mid-scale miners in that region. And then ultimately, I got into the exploration side of things. I'm going to say 6 years ago, I got introduced to a company that had a very revolutionary technology that was able to, and still is, able to revolutionize how exploration is done, which has a very light touch on the environment versus the way traditional methods are conducted, whereby it's an educated guess. People are blindly drilling and ripping up the earth to figure where something is. But with this technology, we can do it remotely. Remotely, literally. We can see into the
How
earth.
remote? Like you'd be sitting in Dubai and you're...
It's remote. It doesn't. All we need are the coordinates. Okay. So we can, and the coordinates have to be tied to an actual license holder. We don't do espionage or anything like that. But we can identify and quantify any metal-based mineral, hydrocarbon, oil and gas, and groundwater remotely. So it's a game changer from that standpoint. And so I just never got out of that business in terms of development and relationships. And through this technology that led to stakeholder engagement with governments across Africa, because most governments don't know. They know that they have resources. They know that different groups that come in and legally mine or apply for licenses. But it would be great if a government could identify and quantify their resources prior to giving licenses out, or at least they would know how to cross-reference what is being reported to them from a company to say we're only exporting XYZ because there's only XYZ, when they can actually have an idea what's actually there ahead of time. Yeah. Same thing like with oil and gas. If you think about, you have companies that might drill off the coast of a country for 3 years and hit a dry well, and nothing happens because they thought traditional methods is seismic, more of a seismic approach, which has a high probability of containing this or that, right? This or that. But when you actually get down to it, it could possibly be something else. With our technology, we don't look for a high probability of something that may contain this or that. We look for this or that directly. Okay. So when we read what's down there, we're reading elements that or minerals that are specific to what we're targeting. Your fingerprints are different than mine. Your aura is different than mine. No other person on this planet has your fingerprints. The same thing with gold, with copper, nickel, titanium, rare earths. All of them have their own unique fingerprint that you cannot confuse with the other. And all of them radiate a certain energetic field signature specific to that mineral. Okay. Like your aura is different than mine. Everything is energy on this planet. Can
you create the same technology for humans? I can just see myself saying, okay, I need to be around this energy and not that. Maybe that should be your next business. But okay, that's interesting. So
we are heavily involved in different mining asset development. I'm a mining asset developer. I take a legal licensed, legally obtained license from in conjunction with my local partners in whichever market we are operating in, and that means the government gives you permission legally to go explore. Right? Because the government, in the end, what they want is GDP growth, meaning once you start to go into operations, that means you're hiring people, job creation. That means you're adding to the GDP in terms of export taxes. A lot of cases with beneficiation now, where lots of countries are requiring that you do some beneficiation in country instead of just shipping out the raw material. So it helps the governments from that standpoint. It's added to the GDP, which adds to the ability to do so many other things, right? So I was saying that to say that's So we take that legally obtained license and we develop it into something that is a bankable feasibility. That means we've done all the work on the ground, geology, ground magnetics, soil sampling, remote sensing technology, geophysical work, drilling, audiomagnetolarics, geochemical work. All of this stuff is done and supervised by qualified PhD level geologists that can put this into a bankable or very credible feasibility study, which then allows you to either list that on the stock market, list it on the blockchain with things that are happening now as real world assets, or JV it with a big private group. But you can now know that you have something tangible to now commercialize and create the jobs and everything else. So exploration is one phase. Commercialization is another phase. But you cannot go to commercialization until you have done the work to understand if the project is viable or not.
Okay. So two things based on what you just said. One, and I think you touched on it a little bit, but we always hear there's a lot of resources coming from Africa, but Africans are not benefiting from it. You touched on it a little bit, but I want you to expand on that a little bit more.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You see, that's true. Africa's got a raw deal. It has gotten a raw deal for a long time. Part of their pathway to freedom in a lot of the francophone countries, if you pay attention to what's happening there, is, we'll give you independence, but we still own your money needs to sit in our bank accounts, and we get first right of refusal on any resource. Yeah. Right? Then you have other groups come in, and so you have a lot. I'm not going to call out specific things. And this is true. For me, my take on it and my thing is different. Because see, money is not, you can't take money with you. None of us make it out of this movie alive. Okay? Yeah. And you can't take the money with you. Yeah, you can do things to ring fence your family and help others. But in the end, is how much good did you do while you were here? And what impact did you make far beyond your life? 20 years later, are you still impacting? Right? So for me, I know what my mission is. I'm very clear on it. This is just, okay, so when you tell me what do I regret, I say I can't say that I regret anything. Yes, there's things I'm not happy about. However, if you take any of those things away, I'm not in that position that I'm in. And then I ask myself, well, how is it that I've been guided all this way, and I met all these interesting people along the way that got me into this and into that, and then I discovered another interesting person who got me into this technology, and then I have all these relationships in Africa, and then I understand from the U.S. side to the Dubai side, to the UAE side, to the UK side, and Europe side, and the Chinese side, and I understand mining, and then I understand blockchain and Web3 and where things are going there, and I understand the stock market, and I understand this whole board. Why me? I'm a kid from Newark, New Jersey, right? So if that's the case, if I've been blessed to come this far, it has to be to make a big impact. It can't be for the money. Yeah, can't be, because you make a little bit of money as long as you can book a flight to go somewhere when you need to go somewhere last minute, and you can pay your bills. I mean, really, what else is there, right? So whatever we do, first of all, we're changing how to impact it. The environment is impacted. Secondly, we're creating jobs. Thirdly, we're changing the lives of our local partners. We're teaching them how to fish. You see, everybody else comes, extracts, or takes this stuff, sells it. When you start teaming up with people on the ground from the local, whatever country you're in, and you're changing their lives, and you're teaching them along the way how to put something on autopilot, how to duplicate that, right? That's more job creation. You talk about how you help governments because, like it or not, government's job is to find out what they have in their country and how they commercialize to add to their GDP and create jobs. Okay? And then every project we do, we have a fund specifically for workforce development. Youth unemployment is a huge problem in any country in Africa and America. Probably everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm just stick to Africa for a second.
Yeah.
You talk about the countries that you operate in. Youth unemployment is a problem. Who's teaching the youth the skills of tomorrow, or there's the skills of tomorrow with AI and all these other technologies that's coming along, but then there's also the tangible things that I mentioned earlier. How to wire up property, how to fix an excavator. Who's doing these things? Who's training the people with the knowledge, the older people, as they move on or transition, the skills not being passed down to the next generation.
Yeah.
So you can't grow a mining industry and not have the workforce for it.
Yeah.
So remember I told you about the pathway to dignity? You take the youth and you give them a pathway. You train them on how to operate heavy equipment. You teach them how to work on a processing plant, how to fix a processing plant. You teach them the skills that are in the sector that is growing in a particular African country. And I'm not talking about the horror stories you hear in mining with child labor and this and that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about clean, above the board, compliant mining operations, complying with the government, complying with your local partners, complying with the environment, right? You're giving the youth a pathway to employment into a sector that you hopefully one mine turns into 10 mines and so on and so forth. Now, Africa is not the only place that minerals come from. Some of the biggest deposits are in Russia and China and all kinds of places. Okay, but Africa does deserve a fair shake in scaling a healthy mining industry that benefits all stakeholders and not just a few.
Yeah.
If you understand what I'm saying.
Yep.
So when you tie something like this into job creation, GDP growth, schools being built, roads being built, youth being trained, and a pipeline to employment after they go through this process, you're doing God's work at that point.
Yeah.
Now, if in the end there's a resource that goes to help fuel your laptop, fuel your EV vehicle, fuel your air condition, fuel your chat GPT, so be it.
Lovely. And if there's someone listening now and they're like, oh, I want to get into that, is there opportunities with you to do that?
I would say to people, research is everything. We tend to want to just have the easy approach, and none of this stuff is easy.
Yeah.
Mentorship. Find somebody who could be your mentor and study. Study doesn't mean you have to go to college or University of YouTube is the best university on the planet. First of all, the next best university is actually getting in the field and hands on. So whether that be film and television, I mentor a lot of people in different sectors.
Yeah.
But we have to not be afraid of doing the research and taking the road less traveled.
Yeah.
And not just think somebody's gonna give me something so I can have an opportunity. Opportunities may not look the way you think they look.
Yeah.
You know, we can't be afraid to do the hard work. We can't be afraid to not have instant gratification.
Okay, I hear you. I think you did not answer my question around why Dubai.
Why Dubai? Dubai is Middle Earth.
Yeah.
Dubai is Middle Earth. Everybody can meet in Dubai in the business space.
Yeah.
It's. I think the U.S. has the furthest trip, right? But it's Africa friendly. You see, if I'm doing certain things in America, trying to conduct business in Africa, it's like, what are you doing? America still didn't catch up there yet.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But Dubai is like, okay, yeah, I get it. Europe, everybody can converge here in Dubai from wherever you are, and the structure is a bit more friendly, business friendly, if that makes sense.
Lovely. As we're about to wrap up, 2 more questions. I feel like I always have 2 questions. What's next? Wait, before
That's
you
my
go,
favorite question.
is it?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
That question's changed my life.
We'll close with that one. And I think you've also answered this one, but I want to hear you explicitly explaining. Have you found your purpose now?
Oh, I'm in my purpose.
Yeah.
And I'm in my what's next.
Okay.
I'm in it. This is it. This is it.
Yeah.
I'm in my purpose. I told you I was looking for what is my purpose.
Yeah.
And I had to sit down and realize I'm in my purpose.
Mm.
I'm in my purpose. I'm in my end game. You won't see me 5 years from now and I'm doing something else.
Mm.
That doesn't mean I'm not doing other things with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But you won't see me now. I've completely changed. I'm completely now doing this versus what I've been expressing to you. But that question, what's next, has literally changed my life and opened up so many doors because it's a genuine question. I genuinely like to ask other entrepreneurs, no matter what their level of success is, even if it's just like, hey, I'm just starting out, I'll ask what's next. If somebody who I really look up to and I think they've hit the glass ceiling of where they want to be, I still ask them what's next. And you'll be surprised the answers you get. That what's next is what triggered me into Africa. Because I was quick story, I was just raising money for a film fund.
Yeah.
2007. I was raising money for a film fund so that I can fund these projects through my system. I'll fund it, monetize it, make a profit, go to the next one. I didn't have to I can say this year we're doing 3 projects versus raise money, do something, start all over again, go raise money, do something, start all over again. That's not a system. So I was looking for the system, trying to create some infrastructure. And in that process, one of my first investors, I still work with her to this day. She's on my board. She, older than me at the time, she was running a securities firm on Wall Street and did a fantastic job for us. Had a very successful business. And was we had a good mutual friend who connected us over dinner. We all sat down and she's my first $2 million investor in this fund. Now at that dinner, I could have just been happy with that infusion and went home. But I asked this very question you asked me. Genuinely. Because I wanted to know, well, what's next for you? And it caught her off guard. And she said, wow, nobody's asked me that. But she lit up because what's next for me is I want to go to Africa. I want to take the money that I've made, the know-how that I have, and I want to marry my skill set and access to capital with governments and help them fund their infrastructure projects. She said, but the only problem is I don't have the right connections. That's my only problem. Now, I told you about my uncle and my father.
Yeah.
And I wasn't hearing anything they were telling me. You see? But when she told me that, I went back to my father that night. This was a Monday. That night, I called my father. He said, call your uncle. He says, nobody living on this planet that's more connected in Africa than your uncle.
Yeah.
He said, not even one president from one particular country in Africa. I called him. He built a house on 10 acres in Florida. The hardest job for him was figuring out which day of the week it was because every day was sunny in Florida, right? So you think, is it Saturday again? He doesn't know. So I called him that Tuesday and I told him. He said, well, okay, I'll hear it out. I just wanted to see if he would have a conversation. I'll hear it out. He wasn't pressed for any excitement. He was retired. Yeah. I called her. I sent her his legacy webpage. And she says, oh my God, can you come into the office? Wednesday, I'm in her office. I get them on the phone. They hit it off. Friday, myself, her, my father, we were at my uncle's house in Florida for the weekend. And Friday, we talked no business. Saturday, we didn't talk business. But Sunday, we got down to it. And that's when it was decided that we're going to form a company and we're going to do this properly. And we're going to go to Africa. 2 weeks later, I'm on that 45-day trip in Africa. 6 countries over a 45-day period. Yeah. Because I asked what's next.
Wow. Okay.
And now what's next has me here.
Yeah.
That technology, same question. I was talking to somebody for something else. And then I said, well, what else? And it had nothing the conversation had nothing to do with that technology. But I said, what else do you do? What's next? And that's how they introduced me to that technology. So what's next?
Very important.
That's your name
continue.
of your show. What's next?
What's next? Maybe.
I'll give you that for free.
Okay. And any final closing words you want to say?
No, just find your purpose. Do what you would love. Do what you would do for free. Do what you would do for free, professionally. And do good with people. Bring integrity back. Integrity's lost. Do your part and bring in integrity back. I would say that.
Lovely. Thank you so much for making the time. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.